Good afternoon. I'd like to thank Chris for inviting speciesfile to come out and talk about what we do. Speciesfile software development group provides software, tools, and services to support taxonomists in their effort to catalog and understand the diversity of life and to share the resulting data with the global community. So what I plan on talking about here is a bit of an overview about speciesfiles, propose a way that speciesfiles can help with the invertnet endeavor, discuss the future of speciesfile software, and offer speciesfiles to the group. You know, we have a lot of people with expertise in taxonomic groups here, and we'd be happy to hear from you if you want a speciesfile of your own. Some features of speciesfiles. We're actually fairly unique. We have an endowment that supports us. There's a long-term commitment to development. It's housed here at the Illinois Natural History Survey, so we have a long history in front of us, or long. We have lots of programmers. We have data specialists, and we have taxonomists. So we're all working together to try to build great stuff for taxonomists to use. We're internet-based, so you can get to us from any place in the world. We're International Code of Zoological Nomenclature compliant. We have many tests built into the system, lots of checks in place. You enter data, we'll tell you if you goofed up entering the data. We host lots of nomenclatural, literature, distribution, specimen records. We have keys that you can produce for your taxa. We have both public and private files. The latter would be if, say, somebody wants to do a revision and you want to do it out of the eye of the public, you can fill out this species file and we'll reintegrate it into the public species files when you're ready to publish. We have extensive search capabilities. We'll show you some of those in a little bit. We share globally with the Catalog of Life, with the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, through Darwin Core Archives, with Scratchpads, and our data get to a lot of other places indirectly through COL. By the way, once we submit your data to COL, you basically become the authority for that particular taxonomic group. Your data gets distributed almost everywhere. Just a little bit about the number of files that we have and some statistics that go along with it. So currently we have almost 92,000 total taxon names stored in 11 different databases. Somewhere around 56,000 total valid species names recorded. We have somewhere around 164,000 citations across the 11 different species files, over 85,000 images, and over 100,000 specimen records recorded within species files. Now, I want to show you a little bit about our flagship species file, and that would be Orthoptera species file. That's the first one that was produced. Let's take a moment to come up with the page. So this is just the home page here, and principal developer of species files and Orthoptera species file is David Eads. He's in the back here. He's a very smart guy. He's done a great deal of the programming for this work. Dan Audie provided a lot of the original data, and several others have contributed greatly over time. Let's do a little bit of a search. Let's find one taxon. I'm a little confused as to which keyboard to use here. Let's just close one down. So let's go for common field cricket Grillis Pennsylvanians. So you can see that we provide a hierarchy, and of course the hierarchy goes much further than this. It's only showing 3 levels here, but you can find much more additional information above it. We provide you with the species name, author, the year, and we've most recently instituted LSIDs for all the species files. Some of them are being used currently. Some we're waiting for our collaborators to turn that system on when they're ready to have it used. But we're sending species names with LSIDs to COL right now. You can list common names, you can have images. Of course, the quality of the image depends on the quality of image you upload, but some of them are pretty good. You can store as many images as you want, labels as well. We can record or store sound recordings. Now, I think maybe it'll pick up a little better if I stand closer. You'll just have to be quiet and listen. You all know this common field cricket. We have the ability to store links to lots of other important sites about Orthoptera or any other place you want to record. We can display distribution information. This is the Tadwick hierarchies levels 1 through 3. The dark are states and provinces in the US and Canada. This is a little different shade. It's shaded lighter because we don't know which state in Mexico the specimens were from. Now, we can also keep track of ecological information. We can keep track of specimen records. And if these specimen records were digitized, georeferenced, we have a Google map that would be side by side with that shaded relief map. You can follow any of those specimen links to get the actual data. You keep track of all the citations that are important for this taxon, its original description, and you can see here that we actually have the ability to either store a URL that goes directly to, say, a Biodiversity Heritage Library record, so you can actually get a look at the original description and put as many citations in as you want. We can store all kinds of type specimen information. We also store lots of information about synonyms. We have some species files that are planned. One is the Lepidoptera species file, where we take in the data from LepIndex, which has a couple 100,000 names from Chalcidoidea, Lycoidea, fossil insects. We could probably triple or quadruple the names that we store in species files within the space of about a year or a year and a half. So, how can species files help InvertNet? Well, all of you as curators, collection managers, graduate students, you're going to be collecting names off of drawers, unit trays, labels, and those names, some of them are pretty good, some of them you don't really know how good they are. They might be misspelled, they might just be totally wrong or not used. You might want to, maybe they're a homonym, maybe they're a synonym. And so the way you generally figure that out is you go to any huge number of different biodiversity databases and you check names against their records. You could go directly to COL, and that's not a bad way to go because there's something like 115 global species databases that feed into that. And that's about 75% or so of estimated number of species on the planet. However, there are some big data holes there. One is they don't do fossils. Some of you will have insect fossils that you want to put into the database. They also don't have synonym information above the species level. So synonym of the genus is something you want to record. You can't find that from COL. You can find it from some other sources, but you'd have to look at a lot of sources. We hope to kind of simplify that a bit. We'd like you not to have to look at just dozens of sources. What speciesfile proposes is that we build an aggregate species file. We'll take data from the 4 or 5 largest sources, other aggregators. We'll make a species file of it. Actually, we'll make a great big flat file of it so that it's fast to search. We'll keep track of the information that came from the various sources, and we'll tell you which sources they came from. So you can send a name in, ask whether or not the name is in current use, ask if the name is spelled correctly, see whether it has a different status than you think it does. Maybe it's a synonym or homonym or some other status change. Is the authority and year you have for it correct? What's the classification scheme for this name? And there's several different sources. And what's the original citation? So we could sort of stand to take the names from invertnet, compare them to our aggregate species file, and send back a report. And it can be really detailed, or it can be not quite so detailed, depending on how much data there are out there to compare it against, and then send it back to invertnet. You folks in museums would end up getting some information back about those names then. So this is one way we are proposing to help in the short term. The future of species files is that we plan to build and maintain a lot more species files. We have, our species files are really heavily vetted. We can store a ton of information about each taxon name and lots of accessory information about it. So we think we have sort of the industry standard as far as the kind of information that we store about a taxon. We want to improve the way we share nomenclatural and biodiversity data with the global community, and we want to build tools for revisionary systematics. We want to hear, what you folks as taxonomists need, and then we figure out a way to build it for you. So we could tackle any number of, say, use cases that you guys throw at us. We want you to envision us as a resource to the taxonomic community. Now, here's a little pitch. If you have expertise in a group, say it's sitting in an Excel database somewhere, or even to the point where it's just in a catalog, printed catalog, consider coming to species files to build your own species file. Once that's built and we start sharing it around to the global community, you automatically become the authority for that group. So if you're interested, you can contact myself, David Eads, Matt Yoder. We just brought in Matt Yoder as a new employee with us. He's great at biodiversity informatics and has lots of great ideas. Dimitri actually works for us on a half-time basis, and he's done great work with revisionary systematics packages. With those two together, we'll be adding lots of very practical things for you folks to use. Again, thanks, Chris, for inviting me to give the presentation. And if you want a species file, give us a ring.